when we had a satellite below us in orbit explode, and then there was a bit of a debris field. And so we were woken up in the middle of the night.
Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore are still stuck in space and are not expected to return.
10-day test flight turned into a 9-month-long mission in space.
This after their Boeing Starliner faced thruster failure.
बड़ी खबर सामने आ रही है। अमेरिकी स्पेस एजेंसी नासा ने कहा है कि फरवरी 2025 को पृथ्वी पर लौटेंगी सुनीता विलियम्स।
4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis. A final visit to enhance the vision of Hubble into the deepest grandeur of our universe.
Thank you. It's fun. It's great to be here. It's great to have a podcast. I know it opens up to another audience, so thank you for the invitation.
Everybody knows you, but let's say if 0.01% people don't know you,
Okay.
then what about your childhood you would tell them which has shaped you the person who you are today?
I think the biggest thing about my childhood that shaped me was I came from a family that was multicultural, multi-religions, multi-food, most important, I guess. And that's it's a big benefit. You don't realize it when you're a kid, it's life, it's how it is. But I think just appreciation for different cultures at a young age, not even realizing it, I think was really beneficial and set me up for success, I would say, just because I feel like I can relate to a lot of different people, or at least have the patience to listen for a moment.
At what point in your childhood you felt like this is a strength? Like being multicultural is a strength?
Oh gosh, I don't think I realized it for a long time, for a while. Like it was a little bit, I think more so, we were different. We are a different family, and we all knew that. But I didn't know if it was a strength until later on in life, where just easy to deal with people. I think.
What do you mean by different?
Well, we were the only Indian family in our town.
Okay.
Or partially Indian family. So I think we stuck out pretty much. My sister and I had long hair, of course, long Indian hair. While we were growing up, we were also swimmers. And so we were the type that got up in the morning and swam before school, coming into school with wet hair. And so we were just different in regards to other people in the town, I think. People knew who we were then too, the Pandyas.
Yeah. Did you at any point feel like that was maybe a weakness, or that maybe put you in a different light than other people?
Oh, sure. Like as a kid, of course, when you're like a kid, or more so like when you're an early teen, when you don't blend in with everybody else and you're a little bit different, of course, that's a little bit uncomfortable. But it also at the same time, I think, confident, secure in myself, that I thought the more important thing was athletics and academics, and I didn't really bother me that much.
Were you insecure at any point?
Absolutely, my whole life. I think everybody is. They just have to sort of push through it, and I think that's part of life, is just like pushing through boundaries and things that make you feel a little uncomfortable, and that's where you can achieve more. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Tell me about your biggest insecurity.
Gosh, my biggest. I don't know about my biggest. I mean, just my whole job from being, like, first of all, as an athlete, you get on the starting blocks, you're nervous, right? So that's one thing. You're a little bit insecure about your capabilities and your abilities. It gets proven in the pool or on the track or wherever it is. But, just getting to that starting point, as they say, is a little bit scary. And then I think in all of the things that in my career that I've done, I had major insecurities about it. Like, wow, am I going to be able to pass this check ride? Am I going to be able to be a pilot? Am I going to be able to know how to do a spacewalk? Am I going to be able to do the robotic arm? I think all those things, I think there's points of insecurity. Yes, you prepare as best as you can, but then at one point in time, at least myself, I doubt myself at times.
Do you do that today?
Absolutely. I think we all do it. I think we all do that. Like, if you don't, then you're not really being introspective, I think.
True.
I think it's hard to think that you know everything and not have an appreciation for the rest of the world around you that might have a surprise for you.
What are you insecure about today? Like, you've accomplished so many things now.
A lot. I mean, the next steps of my life. What am I going to do in the next steps of my life? I want to. We're moved. I'm retired. We've moved. What am I going to do? I don't know. And I think I'm insecure about it, but I don't really care because it's going to be. It's all good. I know better now. It's all going to work out. I wish I had known that when I was a kid. Because I think those insecurities take over a little bit more when you're younger, when you don't realize it's all going to work out.
It's so fascinating. You do, like, your main work is uncertainty for living. Like, that's what, like, you don't know what's going to happen the next moment. And you think about what's going to happen next. That's like, you're insecure about the uncertainty in your life, like what's going to happen now. But you've lived all your life just thinking about, let's live in the moment and not think about what's going to happen next.
Yes, and I think you bring up a good point. I think that is the way you deal with it. Like, let's live in the moment. Like, I think people have insecurities, of course, when they look in the future, but you can't make it. You can guide it, but you can't anticipate every little thing. So living in the moment is, I think, the best methodology.
Have you cried in space?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I miss people and I missed my dog. So of course I cried, absolutely. There's been goods and bads. I mean, and also like for really good things that have happened too. A friend of mine, her mom was sick while we were in space, and just having those conversations, that's just, your friends, your colleagues. If someone told you, their parent was sick and they were having some problems, and that's hard to deal with, and so you're helping somebody else, and you're just being a friend, a shoulder that somebody can like lean on. Yeah. And this, same thing happens. Like, I get frustrated with something, and I'm talking to one of the crewmates up there about something, or something that's happening at home. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everyone goes through those normal emotions here as in there. Yeah.
So what happens when you cry in space? Your tears don't fall.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Everything, water all around you gets just sort of balled up on you. Same with like when you're working out, you get super sweaty because stuff just gets like too much water everywhere. So you need a couple tissues.
So like you just start crying. Like, is it difficult? Is it like just stuck?
Just will just make your eyes very watery, like really watery. You got to get rid of that though, so you can see. And you'll be like a fish in an aquarium.
I have to ask you a weird question. Like, what's the worst part about using a bathroom in space?
Oh gosh, so much bad about it. No gravity assist, and so for me, first of all, you just absolutely just being able to do it the first thing, right? Because you need to get rid of everything at some point in time, get rid of all that bad stuff. So you have to go to the bathroom. So doing it, first of all, getting over the fear of like going, because it's not going to fall down. So it's like, okay, you just got to go and turn the hose on, and it'll take it away, and don't worry about it. So then the number 2 part, that's also adds your body's not used to it. So you have to sort of get your body used to those muscles to push everything out the right way. And then it's just sort of, I wait till I'm ready to go, and then I could just go. I think that takes care of it. That takes care of all the wishy-washy about it. If you can't really, you have to commit. You have to just get in there and just go.
You also said, I was reading somewhere, you said that people fart a lot up there.
Oh yeah. There's a lot. And I don't know why exactly, but it just happens. Everybody does, because if it's the preservatives in the food or something like that, I'm not really sure why, but everybody does. And I think after a while, potentially people get used to it, and it seems like it happens a little less for some people, but sometimes for other people it just keeps going on. It's terrible.
And then you have to live up in that space for like the days, and it smells bad.
No, it'll move. Okay. We have a pretty good ventilation system, so stuff starts to move around pretty quick. But if somebody farted and you like right behind them flying through the module, you're going to fly right through it.
How does space smell like?
It smells like us. It smells like the food that we eat, and it smells like us. But, interestingly enough, I think it's not that bad because, like, we had at some periods of time 12 people on the space station, when generally 7, and people are all working out, people are all eating, and to me it didn't smell that bad at all. I mean, it was just sometimes a little stronger when some stronger types of food. I eventually got Indian food, for example, so you could smell that. Some things with garlic, obviously you could smell that. I actually really like the smell of garlic, so for me it was fine. Sometimes fish, because we had like a lot of salmon or tuna fish, and so that sticks around for a little bit longer maybe, but it all ends up dissipating.
So that smell. What about the sound? Because ISS, it creaks and moans, right? Like you can hear that sound almost all the time.
Some areas. It also depends on what the sunlight, how our orbit is in comparison to the sun. So sometimes when we're getting heated up quite a bit, there's some areas which the metal sort of just pops and bends a little bit, and then that was reported, obviously. Somebody was like, what happened? And so then we realized what the situation is. So whenever there's like a lot of sun on these parts, are called the pressurized mating adapter, because they're black on the outside. If you look at different parts of the space station, you'll see most of it's silver, which is sort of reflective, but some of it is this black part. And that's the part that gets really hot, makes those creaks and moans and bumps. Other things beside for that are some of the ventilation, and you can hear stuff kick on, start up, and shut down. That happens periodically, obviously. You can find it on the, if you go into the computer page where it has the system that has that specific system, you probably see what happens.
Have you heard any scary sound? Like, what's the scariest sound you've heard? I'm just like childlike curious right now at this point.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
When you were
What's the
stuck like for
scary sound?
286 days, what's the most scariest sound you heard?
Gosh, I'm trying to think of something. I think valves moving, closing, and opening. I don't know. I am used to the space station. The space station is sort of like a second home. So my first time up there, I'm looking at it up on the wall. That's why I'm looking at this. I'm trying to think of what was scary. But my first time there, when I was in the forward part of the space station, living there by myself with my 2 other Russian colleagues in the way back, yeah, I got scared a little bit because first time I'm like very hypersensitive to all of these switching of pumps and fans and noises. One antenna right outside there was a crew quarters there, would turn every now and then at night, or I think it was a camera actually. And sometimes the folks in mission control would turn it so they could see stuff. And it was like right outside the window, so we could hear inside. So I was asking a lot of questions during that flight, like, what's that? What's that? What's that? But now that I've lived there for a long time, I feel like I know most of the things that are happening, or I can figure it out. Like, okay, that sounds like a motor, that sounds like a valve, so that must be coming from over here. So this is this. So, it's just like as though you've, again, lived at your house for a long time.
Yeah.
So you get used to like when the furnace kicks on or something and like, oh yeah, that's happening again.
But for the first time you must have heard, at that time, did it scare you?
The first time it did, because particularly when I was like I said, the only person living in that part of the space station, and my other American counterpart had gone home, and this is my responsibility, was this part of the space station. I was like, what is that? What is that? What is that? So I ended calling the ground a couple times, probably in that time frame, if I remember correctly. Just sort of, is that normal? Is that normal? And they were like, yes, don't worry about it.
Was there any point where, in all your time in space, was there any point where you heard some sound and you're like, oh, this is it? Like you froze for a moment and like you got scared?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think we were all a little on edge in this latest flight when we had a satellite below us in orbit explode or disintegrate or something. And then there was a bit of a debris field. And so we were woken up in the middle of the night to all go to our own spacecraft. It's called Safe Haven because they weren't sure whether or not the debris would hit the space station. So we had about 45 minutes. And the funny part about that is we all met at the bathroom, essentially, one last time to go to the bathroom on the, as I call it, the big hotel in space, because the spacecraft are sort of like a little camper. So they don't have really good bathrooms on the spacecraft. And so it was like, take advantage of, okay, I've got 45 minutes. What am I going to do? I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to get some water, hug my friends, say goodbye. That was a little bit surreal situation, I think, not because of the bathroom. The bathroom was just sort of funny. But as we were leaving, 3 spacecraft that have human beings that are going to return to Earth. So one spacecraft's going to go and land in the ocean. One's going to land around the United States. One's going to land in the desert in Kazakhstan. One's going to land in the desert in the United States. And we all sort of hugged each other. And we're like, hopefully I'll see you on Earth. That was a little bit weird. And I wasn't necessarily scared, just sort of, it made me stop for a moment and go like, wow, this would be bad if we all had to leave and then we leave the space station. We had some things we had to do to make sure the space station was in a safe configuration as much as possible, closing hatches, getting things ready. So we didn't have too much time to sit around and think about it. But for a second, that flashed through my mind as we were all there by the bathroom and we were giving each other a couple little hugs and saying goodbye. So that was weird. That was a little unsettling, I guess.
So you said this flight, the last one, was pretty messed up, right? When you got stuck for 286 days.
I don't know if I would say messed up is the right word. I would say it was a little bit unpredictable in the beginning. Like that whole summer was like unfortunately, that was the hardest part, I think, the beginning part. For once after we launched and then we got to the space station, we knew we weren't going to come home as planned. But there was a lot of people on the ground who were still working we're going to get home. We're going to come home tomorrow. We're going to come home tomorrow. We're going to come tomorrow. Like, wait a minute. We all have to understand what the problem is and understand what the fix is and all that kind of stuff. But of course, NASA doesn't want to miss an opportunity. So they still had a lot of people turned on to keep working through all this. So that meant there was questions coming to us and we were answering questions back and forth. When it seemed like the probability was pretty slim that we'd coming back in the next 2 weeks or month, we really needed to get some answers to what happened and understand that problem and see if there was an adequate fix before we would get back in that spacecraft. So that whole time frame, it's hard to have patience, right? I think all of us have to work on that. They say patience is a virtue, and it's very true, because it's sort of like when something uncontrollable is happening, you just have to sort of wait until the appropriate answer is provided. That's hard because you sort of want to go, how's it going down there? Like, how's it going? Have you solved the problem yet? Like what is the answer? Do we know yet? And you sort of have to give people some time. So we tried our best. I think we were sort of annoying at some points in time in asking the questions and it's hard when you're up in space. It's like during COVID when we had Zoom calls, it was really hard to really, get to the bottom of some things, right? Because you had to you couldn't see somebody. You couldn't go and put your hands on something. You're not right there. And that's what it's sort of like all the time on the space station. We aren't there. I'm not seeing the test set up. I don't know what all the parameters are. I listen to the meetings, but you know how it is in Zoom calls, right? Sometimes your mind is doing something else when you should come back to what's going on, right? So it's a little bit, it was hard to really be part of the solution process. It was easy to ask questions, but it's hard to be part of the process. And so that was a little frustrating. I think the not so frustrating part at first, but then became frustrating was my family. I think they were wonderful at first, like, oh, just come home, be safe. It's all good. You're going to be home soon. You'll be home by the fall. It's all good. So, so then I think the harder part, of course, is like turning that and telling folks that you're not going to be home for a little longer. And so, by the end, I think we were both, Butch and I, before even the decision was made, we had an idea that this is not going to happen. And we knew the next time we'd come home is with the next spacecraft. I mean, this is the process we've been living for a long time. We know that every 6 months there's a spacecraft that goes up and there's a spacecraft that comes home. And they're not going to change that. It's very expensive. It's a contract. It's the production of the spacecraft. So that's how it's going to go. So as the summer went on and it was getting clear that we probably weren't going to come home, we knew it would be 6 more months. So that's when, like, making those phone calls, like around the, August timeframe, like, I'm not coming home for a little while. We'll see you next year. But I think I'm very, very fortunate. My family was like, hey, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Have a good time. Come home on a safe spacecraft. And I wrote journals on my first 2 missions, and I started it while we were up there for the summer. And my sister's like, just keep writing the journals because they're fun to read. I'm like, oh, okay. And and it's
How
not
sweet.
just fun. It's I have a group of people that I sent those to. So I was able to take a lot of people along on the journey with me and show them through my photographs, not just mine, but my crewmates' photographs and what we were doing up there, what it's like to live and work in space. And, the aperture gets widened when you have time to do that. So I had a lot of people following along with me. And, because I was doing that, a lot of support from friends and family. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah.
What's the health cost you pay when you come back?
So,
Because-
I mean, initially when you come back, you're not feeling very good, but that goes away pretty quick.
What are you feeling? Like the moment you land on Earth,
Yeah.
back after
Nauseous.
like 286.
For me, nauseous, like a little sick. And it didn't help that this time we landed in the water, and then, everybody was concentrating on the dolphins that were there outside of the capsule. But if you look at while the dolphins are swimming, or when we landed, we went whoop, all the way over and then back up again. And it was funny because the thought in my head was like, oh no, if we turn over all the way upside down, that's not going to be good. But, it was just sort of like casual thought like that, like, oh, that's not going to be good. And then we came back up and we're sort of bobbing for a second, like a cork. Like, so if people don't feel good when they're on a boat, think about it that way.
Yeah.
You feel a little bit nauseous, and you're going to feel nauseous anyway. For me, I always feel a little nauseous when I come back. The neurovestibular system has not been working while you're up in space. It's sort of shut down, and you have other feelings of orientation while you're up there. The way we evolved, our inner ear for balance is not needed while you're up in space because gravity's not affected on it. So anyway, when you come back, all of a sudden gravity's a player. And then for me, I felt pretty nauseous for like 24 hours. And what's something that's provocative, as they say, is like getting out of your spacesuit when you put it over your head and pitch your head up like that. That really makes you feel a little sick. So we're getting out of the spacecraft, and we get out on a sort of like a little seat with people helping us, because there's a big hole in the spacecraft for where the cargo is. And so nobody wants to trip and fall getting out, first of all, because you're not feeling too good. And then they just take us to the back where we can get out of our spacesuits. Right after that, though, once you're out of your suit and you're not feeling like you're going to throw up, you can stand up. And we walked up the stairs to where the helicopter was and took us out of there. So that still nauseous for me for about 24 to 48 hours is the big thing. And usually you'll see people with somebody helping them, supporting them, just because all the little balance muscles that you use here on Earth that you don't even realize, and the small muscles in your neck, all of that has to get recharged again. Yeah. And so that takes, for me, realistically, to get all the way back, about a month. And we work with our physical trainers for some certain exercises. They give us tests along the way to see how we're doing, see how we're improving. And it's actually pretty cool to see your body like come back to human self again, to earthly self again. So
you feel like when you come back for that month, when you're trying to acclimatize, adapt to the Earth again, you feel like things are falling, or like if you pick up the pen, then it's just going to go like that. Like, do you get these things? Because I saw a video of eating, the liquid pineapple juice. I saw that.
It happens for a little bit, but you'll learn pretty quick that our gravity is the predominant force on this planet. So you can't get away from it. So it's here. Yeah.
The last question is, what's one question you wish people would have asked you?
Oh, So my biggest takeaway from this flight was really not there's lots of technical things that we learned, right? Like I just mentioned, that we could pass on and make the next flight better, or make the hardware better, ask the right questions, maybe do the engineering process better, right? All of that is huge lessons learned. But the biggest lesson learned is when I came back. And again, we could talk about the press and how maybe the narrative was a little blown out of proportion in my perspective, but people would be like, oh, I'm so glad you came back. People I don't know. I don't know even what country they're from. I don't know what nationality they are. I don't know what ethnicity they are. I don't know what religion. I don't know what politics they are. From all over the world, we're like, I'm so happy you're back. Welcome home. Thankfully, we were praying for you. We were thinking about you, whatever, And my overall lesson learned from this is like, people are good. People are nice. And as human beings, we care about each other. And it seems like that gets lost with a lot of distractions and noise that are going around. And we just need to listen to each other because people are good.
Does it get you overwhelmed when you talk about it?
It bums me out a little bit because I had to go through this process to see that. And that's why I keep talking about it, because I hope that other people don't have to go through a process. I hope we would just stop and listen to each other and realize how good human beings are. Yeah.
I can see your eyes getting teared up.
Yeah. No, human beings care about each other. And we forget that. And we fight over stupid things, which is unfortunate.
Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
It was an honor to speak to you.
It was
fun.
was
incredibly good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much. Then thanks to your team. You guys are very patient.